Spoken Label.
He lurked in the shadows, waiting and hoping she wouldn't take a different route. This was her usual room. He knew that. He knew her.
Ghost of Me, the new book by Amanda Steele, can be found at Amazon, Kobo, Waterstones, and many, many other places. Hi guys, it's Andy N. Thanks today for downloading or streaming yet another episode of Spoken Label. As you may or may not be aware, Spoken Label was started in the beginning of 2006, and currently we have well over 150 sessions recorded and sent. Although you can find it on various networks, the full archive is available for streaming and downloading at Spoken Label bandcamp.com. It is a free download or free streaming there, but obviously if you feel like chucking me a few pennies that way, it'd be eternally grateful to help me keep this podcast going and keep improving my equipment, etc. Enjoy. Speak to you soon. Bye bye. Spoken Label. Hi guys, Andy N back in the house again in the centre of Manchester. I don't know what's this cafe called.
Good question.
Thomas Street Beer House. See, you can see how organised I am tonight. I don't have a clue where I am, but I've got a dear friend of mine with me tonight here, and I didn't realise till we just got talking a few minutes ago how multinational this gentleman is. So I'll let him introduce himself, because we met you originally, Reggie, a couple of months ago, didn't I, through Speakeasy?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Tell everybody all about yourself then. So, who you are, and where you came from, which is more varied than I thought it was actually.
So I'll try to make a very long story short. Name is Reggie, and originally born in Brazil. My dad is Brazilian, and his family is also mixed. They're Spanish. And my mom is Italian.
It tends to be with Brazilians, doesn't it? It's either the Portuguese or the Brazilian side, isn't it?
So basically, my dad's side of the family, my grandfather was Spanish, and my grandmother was Brazilian, mixed native Brazilian with African.
Wow.
So you can imagine the different kind of people we have in the family. And my mom's Italian, and in her family, my grandfather was from the south of Italy, and my grandmother's from the north. So that's why I got blue eyes from my grandmother. And my sisters all have like even darker skin. So it's a big mix of the whole family.
I've also, because a friend I used to know from Brazil, her sister was almost like brown.
Yeah.
She was very, very pale. So that's why I think it comes with which side it comes from, doesn't it?
If you look at my dad, you might not think we're related.
Not really?
Because my dad has darker skin.
Oh, wow.
My mom has like blue eyes. Very pale skin, and then when I was 4, we moved to the U.S. We moved to Chicago because all the Italians were moving there, and then that's how I ended up in the U.S.
Yeah, and you might have guessed everyone in there. He does have a slight American twang there, don't you? So I know you've moved again since then, haven't you?
So basically, for the next, almost like 30 years, I lived 6 years in the U.S. Went back to Brazil, learned Portuguese when I was 10. Stayed there for another 4 years. Went back to the U.S. when I was 15. Finished high school there, and then when I was 20, I went back to Brazil on a holiday, and then ended up staying 12 years.
Oh, wow! long holiday.
Became an English teacher, and then around 2008, I wanted to go abroad again, and I thought Europe would be an interesting option. And I thought, England seems like a nice place to come. There was work as well, and I ended up here. And
what drew you to Manchester?
So basically, originally I was in Oxford for 8 years as a language teacher.
Do you get bored of being in a place more than 8 years?
I think that's it.
I do sound like it.
It's been like 7 months and I'm done pretty much. But Manchester came because my wife, soon to be ex-wife, is teaching in Nottingham, and the idea was to be closer. And Manchester, there was a work opportunity as well, but also the whole cultural aspect of it. I mean, most English music that I like comes from this area.
So the music that drew you here. Yeah. That's fair play.
So from Happy Mondays to God, I'm thinking of so many examples, but basically, whenever you look up good music, Joy Division, it all points in this direction.
Oh yeah, completely. Now again, we guess today we're going to wind here, but we'll carry on. So hopefully, we're wind and proper. So, no, I can't blame you there. So, but obviously, like I said, I've met you through Speakeasy. Haven't I? That's been there last couple of months now, and. Tell what were people obviously want to know about you. Who's been a writing podcast is. Tell me about your writing then. Were you writing as a kid then? Were you? Or then?
Yeah. So basically, as a kid, I was a really good storyteller. So I was good at telling stories. Always had a vivid imagination. So writing was always a part of something that I enjoyed doing. Just making things up, and always been interested in reading all kinds of materials. I was really into the beat generation. Really got into that kind of like poetry, but not so much rhyming. And I've always really enjoyed short stories.
Yeah, of course.
Starting with like Edgar Allan Poe to Ernest Hemingway, and then moved on to novels by like John Steinbeck. And I always liked things that were a bit more straightforward. That talked about everyday issues, things that involve like emotions and dealing with them, but nothing that was like too, let's say, fancy. Let's say, but just more, but just like everyday language. And then in the '90s, during the whole, grunge alternative music stuff, a lot of spoken word came out of that. And then when I found out Henry Rollins.
I was going to ask you, were into him stuff.
Yeah.
Nice cheerful poet that he is.
And I've seen him live. I saw him live in 2009.
I know I've seen him.
In Oxford, of all places.
In Manchester. I went down there for a really heavy poetry night. Stand-up comedy. It was very funny.
No, I like his style because he's basically just telling stories most of the times. Things that involve his career and playing live. Once in a while, he'll read something out that's related to, feeling awkward in the environment that you're in, and I can relate to that. It's just like when you don't really know where you are.
Yeah.
And so I got back to writing very recently, and it started when I went to David Lynch. Went to see his artwork.
Oh, his artwork's very, very surreal.
Exactly.
It's almost as real as some of his films are.
And there was one that really stood out for me, which is basically a painting. Basically just a stranger at night, and it looks really deep and dark, and then when you look close to it, he wrote something, and it's basically like something like, what the hell am I doing here, or what have you done, you screwed up again, and it just kind of shocks you and makes you reflect on it.
Yeah, what's your favourite Lynch film then? You must think, obviously, when people mention David Lynch, obviously they have a favourite film or two.
I don't really have a favourite. I like, what's it called, Blue Velvet.
Oh wow, Blue Velvet's good fun. I think I liked Wild at Heart more actually. Well, they're around about the same time.
Mulholland Drive is amazing. And there's a recent one that he did, which is a 50-minute short, which is called...
It's just come out, hasn't it? Yeah, it's on Netflix. I've not seen it yet. I need to watch that.
It's hilarious with the monkey. It's the best. And it just shows you how something really simple, 50 minutes with the talking monkey, it's just hilarious.
It's the only sort of thing he could do, that, to be honest with you. I've seen one of his experimental short films in his early days, and they're pretty...
I think...
Land of the Fairies.
I find that short pieces are extremely challenging, and if somebody can do them well, there's so much that you can get from it. I find that brilliant.
No, I agree. I agree with you completely with that one. So it's just I think it's a harder form to master, short films, than they are long films.
Yeah.
But they say the same, don't you? Like with poetry and even short mini stories.
Yeah.
Less is more, but that's how you do less is more.
Exactly. I remember like I think Hemingway is really good at that. He'll write like 3 lines.
Yeah.
And then there's just like, how did he think of that? And it just can take you so many different places.
It can do, and I think if you pull the rug out from the reader's feet, but then cuts them off dead last minute when they least expect it.
Exactly.
You leave wanting more then. But obviously about your writing then, obviously, what so people obviously don't know your writing. I stuck in bed with you the 2 times a year, your seasonal pieces.
Uh-huh.
And anyone's ever seen you, they've got to ask you to do the seasonal pieces because you're great with twists at the end of your pieces.
Yeah.
You've got a great punchline where at the end of it. Is that something that's intentional? Is it?
I tried. So when I first started writing, I wanted to try to avoid it being like a diary or, like something just bragging or nagging. I wanted it to be something that could different people could read it and they could get different things about it. And I think the idea of the twist at the end it's to avoid it being predictable.
Yeah.
Because if it is predictable at the end, you're like, why did I just go through this?
Yeah, no, completely. And because your pieces, what I've heard so far, are generally quite short, aren't they?
Yes.
So, do you actually write longer pieces, or do you like short and snappy more?
I think for now, it's just coming out short because it's the range that I got. And I want them to be short because I know a lot of people don't have time. And I think it's how it reflects our society nowadays, where people just get quick, bits of information. So if you can give it to somebody really quickly, and then they can take something, they might want to read it. So I think the aim for the future is that it's something rich enough that people can reread, and they can see different bits in it.
Yeah.
Almost like a song, let's say.
I think it is, and obviously, like you've only just got back into it after having a break.
Uh-huh.
And that's what you're obviously looking at. You've got to start to keep expanding your horizons, haven't you, really? Yeah. So, do you think you anticipate wanting to read other nights in the future then? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of nights on in Manchester. Yeah. Everybody knows there's lots.
I think trying going to different places and also kind of expanding the vocabulary. So trying to maybe create things where the richer double intended innuendos in the mixed.
Yeah, you think like obviously from your day job. Anyone might guess he's a teacher. You find that you're teaching, or obviously, you trained your brain, done it to look at things in different ways, and you've had to jump through hoops in it quite easy, I think.
And also, like with my students, I also kind of tell them like, the way you can sound better, sound more fluent in the language, is always by trying to use different words to express the same thing, and that's where the language is so rich. It's just using similar words and trying not to go for the basic.
I agree. I wanted to ask you as well, so I'm jumping back on the forward, it's the way my brain thinks. Obviously you mentioned before, obviously you learned Portuguese, didn't you, when you were back in Brazil? Could you write in another language, do you think? Or?
I could. So I did try to write in Portuguese. It doesn't work the same. Although I am fluent in Portuguese, it is my second language. English is still my first language because that's the one I learned to read and write first.
Yeah, of course.
And I have a lot of my humor comes from American humor and stand-up comics like Bill Hicks, George Carlin.
I love Bill Hicks.
Richard Pryor.
I was gutted I missed him on his last tour in England.
Oh yeah, I mean.
I had to flew that weekend, and then I had to give him a ticket away. And
really?
I was kicking myself.
I mean, he passed away too soon, let's say.
Yeah.
But there was such a strong influence. I tried writing stuff in Portuguese, and it just doesn't come out in the same rhythm.
Yeah. So each language you try and write different.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed him several times. An Italian writer I know called Nomi.
Okay.
In Cholton. The last time I saw her, she was writing in Italian, English, Spanish, and French.
Wow. Yeah. No. Some people can actually do that.
I had examples on 3 of them, and I was stood there thinking, I had no chance.
I would like in the future to develop some Portuguese writing. Portuguese is a lot more intense. I don't know. It takes a lot more work for me.
Oh yeah, definitely on that one.
But it's something to look forward to.
In relation to your writing in itself, then, do you have any recurring themes on it then?
So for now, it's about dealing with emotions, mental health, depression, but trying to break the stigma behind it. So my intention is to show that we all go through pain in similar ways, but in different ways as well. So there's a lot of shame connected to pain. A lot of times people think that pain and failure is like a weakness.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
But I think we could actually grow and become stronger individuals if we learn to accept that we fail, and that sadness and loneliness is just part of who we are. I think different individuals will receive pain and in different ways. I mean, some people just go through life in a very like happy, upbeat moment, where other individuals will need time to sink in and kind of like bathe in darkness. But that's fine, as long as you come out on the other side, it's perfectly fine.
No, I get it completely. Yeah. You do it like with a smile on your piece, you do it as well. So
I think the idea is like, let's laugh about these things.
And if you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah.
So that's why I look at it.
You know, and a good cry is all right. You know, it's like it doesn't make us less if we are weak. You know, we need to be weak in order to be strong.
Yeah.
To have strength. You know.
No, completely. So that said, and obviously, like I said, if people want to find out more about you, where is it best going at the moment?
So it's the open mic at the Stratford Sip Pub. It's a great event. I mean, if you want to read anything, if you want to read something from somebody else, I think it's a great opportunity because you see so many different people.
Yeah, you do.
And different backgrounds. So you see people from the university, people who studied literature, from people who just, like myself, who just sat down and wrote something and want to share it.
Exactly, and that's what a good thing about it is, like with that is like with Speakeasy itself, like it's a night where there's all kinds of people come on to read and stuff, and that's why it's like I said about it, so no, you do learn a lot from it. Like I said, when I call it, every time we do the night, we don't know who's gonna get in touch on what or why sometimes.
Yeah,
that's why even like we've had tell you as well.
That are based on
we had people drive over from. We had a lady come over from California. Actually, I don't think you met her.
No.
Juliet.
Well, a guy from Liverpool who came.
Oh, yeah, we've had Southport, we've had Cumbria.
Yeah.
Do you remember last month we had someone from Newcastle?
There was a guy from Newcastle.
Little old lady, older lady from Newcastle. It was just like we get people come all over the place. It's great.
Different ages, different experiences. I think that's the cool bit about it.
And we learn it. That's what we love about the night. It's the favours night. We don't. People come along. Sometimes we know the people, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And it's the best of you don't know the people. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this sharing experience.
Yeah.
Is also quite rare in our world today.
Yeah, I agree.
Where everything is online or everything is social media could be good, but it's proven not to be. And an experience where people could share something.
Yeah,
that they've written.
It's old-fashioned in some ways, where it's like you go to some nights and stuff. There's a hierarchy. And you'll discover it yourself. You go to some minutes. I'm not naming them. I'm not into that game. But Speakeasy doesn't have the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Everyone,
no, for sure.
We all treat them the same.
Even the orders, like all mixed of who's going first, who goes second.
That's Steve.
Yeah,
he does that. Not me.
But it's great how it works. And you know, I brought friends over the second time that I went. Friends who just wanted to see what it's like, and they had a great time. They want to come every time, and now other people from work want to come as well. So it's
you're going to fill the place up. You weren't mates here, aren't you? So
it's basically just a very entertaining night.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's
you know,
I'd recommend anybody, but again, I run the night, so but yeah. But the important thing is that you've done it like yourself. You know you've got a lot from it, and it's when we're back up because at the moment, as we're recording at the end of March, and this podcast will be live in May probably. Okay. But like it's hopefully we're back by May, maybe June even. So
that's cool.
We'll wait and see. So. But anyway, Reggie, thank you again today, my friend. That's all my questions. And I know you're going to read this few pieces for us now, aren't you?
Would you like me to read one of the Man of All Seasons?
Yes, please. And what we'll do, let me pause the recording. And we'll then jump back in, okay? So, see you in a minute, guys. Hi, guys. Still here with Reggie, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do today, because he's a very unusual writer, but I like him. Over to you, my friend.
So this is called A Man for All Seasons. And we'll start with one of the seasons, which I called it fall, but you might want to call it autumn. And it goes something like this. So a stranger walks down an empty road. Leaves make their way down to the ground. The sun sits to one side while the wind's from the other. Birds chirp and chirp while standing on branches. The stranger comes along and thinks to himself, why is every motherfucker better than me?
Oh, brilliant. I remember you doing that one.
So the next one is also from a man for all seasons, and this one's called Summer. So the sun trails the empty blue sky, going from east to west. The leaves covers the cars on this not so empty road. Trees are green, rich from the summer sun. Wind is slow, touching branches, useless and noiseless. A stranger walks down, the t-shirt stuck to his back. The street is empty, too early for dogs and kids. Bikes are carefully locked on the rails. The heat lights up the saddles. The stranger walks past and thinks to himself, why can't I get my shit together? Still no reply comes.
Excellent.
And a very quick one, which is actually untitled, but it's just a bit of reasoning, let's call it, this one. It's a very quick one, could be done in one breath, and it goes something like this. If I could, I would, and I know that I should, but in the end I had to. I didn't, must have, lost my way. That's a quick one.
Brilliant. Brilliant. You know what's good, I like about that is, did you know me and Amanda did a book last year?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was wondering if that is it. She'll love that as that one. Can you give us one more little piece to finish off with?
Yeah, I could do the one which is Things I Will Never Understand. This is one I read the last time at the Speakeasy.
I remember this one.
So this is supposed to be done in one very quick breath. It's called Things I Will Never Understand. People, me, life, puzzles, bosses, moods, shifts, calorie counting, flirting, dating, marriage, motorcycling, dancing, disco dancing, cowboys, country music, anger, revenge, rage, and porn.
Brilliant. Thank you today, Reggie. That's been vastly entertaining.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to doing another session with you in about a year's time when we've really charmed people, wherever you're living by that point.
I'll still be here.
This is Andy N. Thank you, Reggie, again. It's been brilliant today. See you all soon, guys. Bye. Spoken Label. Thanks again for listening to another session of Spoken Label. Our full archive can be found over on Bandcamp at Spoken Label, that's one word, Spoken Label, full stop, bandcamp.com, and there is over 150 sessions there. So I'm sure that if you've enjoyed this session, there'll be something else there you can enjoy as well. Take care, bye bye. Spoken Label.